In his enormously influential book, Golf My Way, Jack Nicklaus described his enthusiasm for what he thought was a fundamental of golf, which is to keep one's head still. When he was a boy, his coach, Jack Grout, used to have his assistant hold Jack Nicklaus's hair with some pain associated, which Jack Nicklaus remembered. I reflect as an aside on how wonderful it must have been as a teacher to have an assistant to do things. Of course, Tom Yama, very famously at Boca Raton, had an assistant who would tee up the golf balls for the client. Anyway, so Jack Grout's assistant would hold Jack Nicklaus's hair. And he also, in that same segment of his book, described how Jack Grout, his coach, had actually for many months, even years before he was allowed to hit a wood, asked him to hit a 5-iron flat-footed. Now, I think that that's significant because keeping one's head still is really a function of what your legs and feet are doing. Your head by itself can't keep still. It doesn't move by itself. It has to be moved by something else. And I think that the legs, and of course in the way that he described it, the foot action, was responsible. So what Jack Grout asked him to do was to actually keep his feet completely flat on the ground. And he was only allowed to roll them in, first the left one on the backswing, and then the right one on the way through the ball, but keep them down. Now that's actually quite difficult, but it does match up with the other remark about keeping the head still. So how I approach this is that I encourage people, and of course it's not quite so easy in England, but certainly here in California, where you look for your shadow. Now, on a day like this, unfortunately, we don't have one. But let's say I did. You'll position the sun behind your left shoulder so that your shadow is out in front of your right foot, sort of at 1:30 on a clock face. There's 12, there's 1:30. And the reason is that as you turn, your head subtly turns. And if the shadow is there, it remains in your field of view with some ease, even if you've turned your shoulders anywhere else, and it would actually be an obstacle to turn. In fact, Jack Nicklaus referenced that, saying that at the end of his backswing, particularly with a driver, he couldn't see any of the golf ball with his right eye, sort of suggesting that that's okay. So eye on the ball, less important than head still, and I totally agree. So his approach was to get ready and turn his left ear toward the ball a second or two before he started the backswing. And that basically told his right eye, get over it, that's what you're going to get. So back to the idea of looking at your shadow. You'll be able to see as you do your practice and then wheel swing, if you're hitting plastic balls as I do in the garden, that your head is being kept still. And what I hope you derive from that over a period of time with practice is an awareness of how your legs and feet have to operate to accomplish that task. Enormously, I think, valuable.